Hi, my name's Matt, and this is the Salvage Circus. Today, we're going to take a look at a project that's almost completed using old salvage from a church in Philadelphia. Most of the other videos I've had have been about things that are available for sale, and I thought I would show something that I would say is 80% built now, but it'll give you an idea of things you can do with salvage. You can do it on a smaller scale, you can do it on a larger scale. So the thing that we'll look at today is kind of a cross between a formal and a ruin garden. I started out with 14 or 15 of these big limestone capitals. It was a Byzantine church, so there is sort of almost medieval carving on the capitals. And I had to think what I would do with them. I don't have a lot of open flat land here. There's a lot of trees, so there wasn't a lot of places where I could make a bigger garden like this. I have a lot of land, but I don't have a lot of open land. So finally I came up with, this is what I wanted to do. So the first step was to actually move the things, and I found the man who moved them just by accident. I was driving and I saw a sign on the side of the road that said skid steer, all attachments, and highly skilled operator. I stopped and I talked to him, and I liked him. He was a nice man, so we gave it a try, and just kind of like his sign said, he was highly skilled. He moved and set all of these things basically in place, which was pretty miraculous, and about a third the price of what a rigger would have been. A rigger is about $150 to $250 an hour, and he was less than a third of that. There was a rigger who came out and set the back columns. They were in place, but they had to be maneuvered so they were straight. So that part he didn't do, but the rest of it he did do. We laid out a big semicircle. I had to remove the grass and about 2 inches of soil. And since it wasn't a huge project, I actually did it by hand. I took it out with a shovel and a wheelbarrow. I put a barrier, a weed barrier down, which prevents weeds from going through, but it allows water to infiltrate. Then I put crushed stone on. Later in the year, as we get near fall, I'll put a second layer of finer stone on, because the stone that is here is pretty coarse. It's 3/4 inch stone, but leaves you can see fall down, pollen fronds, whatever, falls down, and it slowly degrades and becomes soil. Weeds can't grow from underneath, but it happens. And when you put finer stone down, it makes a much more impermeable barrier, and it looks a little nicer, it looks a little more formal and finished, and it greatly retards the weed growth. We lined it with old cobblestones from Philadelphia, made a big circle out of it, and then we kind of laid out the 6 large capitals in a straight row. They're unusual in design in that the bottom is what you would think traditionally a capital, and then on top there's another capital. So they made a full capital about out of 2 pieces. That's not a common design. It's all limestone. It is good quality. We put some heavy pieces of marble, 4-inch marble, and sit them so they're sturdy. We took 8 of the other large capitals, and then we did the same thing for the center. 2 capitals on either of the 4 sides. They made up a large elevated area. I did the same thing. I filled it up with stone. I started to put interesting little architectural things in it. There's 3 of the 4 seasons in bronze. There is a small 17th century marble head. There is a lead statue of a child on top of a sundial. There is a pair of marble statues. And if you look at the carving on the different capitals is all slightly different. There are figures and various things put in. The amazing thing for these capitals was that a really large piece of equipment took these out. It was a demolition crane, and the jaws of the demolition crane were probably 8 feet long for a pair of them. They essentially form a big pair of jaws, and they just kind of rip these out. And you can see there's little places where chunks of limestone have been taken out and knocked out. And limestone is pretty brittle, but considering the size of that piece of equipment and how strong it was pretty miraculous that it all came out in as good a shape as it did. It was a difficult site to work from. There was a lot of construction debris around, and them getting these columns and capitals and other things that I bought from that site was really not a priority. So they weren't trying hard to get them out, but they did. There wasn't easy access to them to get a trucking company to come in, but that turned out okay. It looked like it was difficult, but it really wasn't difficult. We took some half capitals rather, and some marble seats, and just made a kind of marble seat so you can sit and enjoy the gardens out here and take a look around. I have some other plans for these gardens. Some of them would increase it a small amount. Some of it would increase it a lot. They would become much bigger. I haven't decided yet. And like I said, I'll bring other things in. I'll bring a pair of larger lead statues for each end, so it looks a little more balanced, because the other smaller ones are all more or less the same size, but I'll put 2 larger ones on the end. I'll probably put some other architectural elements around, and I'll increase it. I might increase it a little, I might increase it a lot. And it gives you an idea, on a small scale, on a large scale, what you can do. It gives you an idea for a garden. You could take any one piece and make a little centerpiece for your garden, or just like a little setting in your garden. You could make a fountain. You could do a lot of different things, but it helps to actually see something done in place. It gives you an idea of what's possible. I would say for moving, placing the columns, buying them, $600 for a triaxle load of crushed stone probably cost me $6,000 to build the garden, which, considering the scope of it and the things that are here is not bad. So it'll give you an idea, and hopefully it'll motivate you some to use salvage. There's a lot of different things out there. There's stone, there's bronze, there's copper, there's wood, there's a lot of different things, and you have to think in an adaptive way to come up with something that turns out to be nice like this. If you like the videos, I appreciate it if you subscribe and hit the like button, and we'll put out about 1 or 2 a week. We've been pleased with the response. We've gotten a lot of nice feedback from people, and we'll continue, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.